Hey YouTube, it's Chuck. Good morning. I figured I'd just take you around with me today. Not a specific lesson. I'm out in my one of my out yards, just pretty close by to the other apiary. But I have one long Langstroth here. I have one 5-framer and another 5-framer in the back. I'll just take you along with me. I have a couple hives that I needed to put some eggs in because I didn't see a queen. Maybe we'll see if they made queen cells or if I find a queen. Anyway, come along. Okay, this is the first long lang I built. Pretty much works the same as the other one, just perhaps the carpentry wasn't quite as perfect in some spots, and I didn't quite do the entrances the same. But you see I have my notes in here also, so I know exactly what was going on last time I checked. This is middle one here is the one I have virgin ? Written on. So let's crack it open. Whenever I come out to this out yard, I always bring my hive butler with me. I brought a pollen patty in case we find some weak hives. And I've just got a bunch of, I can do a mite check. I've got everything I need in here. In any case, so let's check it out. I usually just go right to left, but if this gets too long, I'll end up fast forwarding some of it. Nice. Nice and healthy. Good population on top of the frames. Love to see that when you crack it open. Last time I checked, I removed one frame and saw the red queen. Looks like they're drawing. I see wet larvae in there. Still drawing out because I gave them some sugar water last time, which is the reason I bring the sugar water out here to this out yard, you know, just to kind of keep them stimulated to draw out some of these frames, drawing out because of course you can't have enough drawn comb. This is a nice foundationless frame. And one thing that's nice to have about foundationless when you have them in your hive, if you notice on here, see the areas here where there isn't any comb? This is where they love to put queen cups. See, there's one there, there's one there, there's one there. And honestly, if they make a queen cell there on these foundationless, that is where it's easiest to cut them out from. I love having foundationless frames sparse in certain spots just because the cells are very easy. So that's the thing to remember too. If you're going to put a frame into a hive with eggs to make a queen, if you have a foundationless, that would be the preferred type of frame to use. You're not going to be able to see it if I show you, but I'm showing lots of wet larvae in here. So this queen is laying, which is great. I got a bee that's crawled up my arm here. She hadn't stung me yet, but if you see me wiggling, it's because she's up here now. She's working her way up. Kind of now just looking for the queen, just to double check the same one, since they're kind of behaving. No major issues here. Lots of capped there. Wow. So I'll show you this one up close only because I want to show you the difference between brand new fresh capped comb and everything else. So you see on this side, and this is pretty new, but that is all freshly drawn and freshly capped, and they're working their way over. But if you look at this side, do you see that bright fresh wax? That fresh wax is a sign of brand new wax. So they're drawing this out and capping it based on the sugar water I gave them a few weeks ago. And this hive actually might explode. So on those notes, I had removed one frame on the 8th of September. That would be a real possibility. I might need to remove another frame. Now here, these two on the end are not drawn out yet. So there's plenty of room. And another foundationless here. And I made my way through, and you can see, oh, there she is. I'll just show you. She's a nice dark queen. I'll let you kind of focus and see if you can see her first. And I just got stung inside my bee suit. There she is. she's doing good work. Yeah, that darn, she got stuck all the way up there before she stung me. Okay, nice job on this hive. So when I just, lots of eggs, possibly, and sometimes I mark them as strong so that I know if it, in the future, if I need a frame, where to go quickly. So I'll just put them back in here, and I carry a grease pencil with me. Grease pencils because it writes in the rain. And today, I gotta look because it changed. It's the 16th today. And I always put an R with a circle, meaning she's a red queen. Circle means I've seen her. And I'm just gonna write strong. Nice job there. Okay, over to the next one. This one on the 8th, I had virgin question mark, and I said add eggs. So what that means is, you know, basically a little over a week ago, I added eggs with a hive that might have had a virgin or might not have had any queen. So you see when you open this hive up, hopefully you can see that with the smoker, the population of the bees was not as much. Obviously this hive does not have a queen that's been laying a long time, and she might possibly still be a virgin or trying to get laid in this time of year, which can be successful, but it's a little bit hit or miss. It's not quite like during the flow in the spring. But I also have that note on there, so I know I'm not going to see a dot. So the first thing I'm looking for is eggs and larvae. And on this end frame, I'm seeing a lot of backfilling. And you notice how dark that comb is? It is foundationless because it's on wire, but it's a lot darker, more mature. This type of frame is good for honey storage, but it's also good for cycling out at some point. So when they get really, really dark, maybe put it on your list is to look for an opportunity to cycle it out. This one looks like it was a brand new piece of foundation not too long ago, and yep, you can kind of tell how they're drawing it out. Oh, look what I just found. A beauty. Unmarked, yellow butt, a lot of Italian genetics probably, but she's walking around, and with that extended abdomen, I'm confident she's mated just by looking at her. So I haven't seen any eggs yet. More than likely there might be eggs down here. I just hadn't seen them yet. And let me just put an eye here. I don't see eggs at first glance, but what I like, I'm gonna mark her no matter, well, if I see eggs, I'm gonna mark her. My technique is I don't mark queens that don't have eggs. I can tell you that I must have missed this queen last week because she is too big to have just been mated. So like I always teach you guys, if you're listening for a lesson, put the queen somewhere where you can't bump her. As much as I tell you that, I bumped a queen last week, just so practice what you preach. Okay, so that is a very good sign. Virgin question mark is no longer a question mark as long as I see eggs. And if I see eggs, I'm going to put a red dot on her. And I'll show you guys how I mate or mark queens out in the open. Got to get the light just right. And I think I'm seeing eggs, but the bees are everywhere on this frame. I am seeing eggs. I'm not seeing a lot of them, or the light is tricking me. Oh, there's an egg in there. And this is a trick I have. I'm 53, guys, so my eyesight, I'm already wearing cheaters. So this is a trick I have. If you've got an iPhone or any sort of phone with a magnifier, sometimes I crank that thing open. I have magnifier here on my shortcuts, and I will zoom that bad boy in. Sometimes if the lighting's not right, I'll go ahead and turn a light on, and it's like having a telescope on those cells. And unmistakably, oh, there's eggs. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and, just for grins, show you guys how this looks by taking a picture. And then I'm going to insert that picture into the video so you can see what I'm talking about being able to see up close. And so you saw me not sure if there were eggs, and then when I zoomed that thing in, undoubtedly. So just to kind of finish the story about the bee up here. She's already stung me, which means she's gonna die, but she's still crawling around, which of course tickles your arm and makes you wonder if there's another bee in your bonnet. But she's crawling around. All eggs, boom. So this is great. And what I don't see here are any queen cells. And this one, I think was the one with eggs last week that I put in there. So the eggs I put in here, they just, actually, no, it would have been the one that was capped. So if I put eggs in last week, you see those capped cells on there? More than likely, these were the eggs I put in last week that they did not make queen cells out of. Well, why didn't they make queen cells? Because they knew they had a queen. Even though I did not see her, I had virgin ? Written, which meant there were no queen cells, possibly some evidence of a queen hatching by chewing out. So she has laid this up with eggs too. So a great September mate, just by the look at her abdomen. She's not short. You know, they made her. That was not a graft I made. They made that queen. And it is exciting to see successful queen raising in September. Oh, I think she found her way out. No, not yet. Tightened up all my frames, and now it's time to do marking. So whenever I'm out here or anywhere in my yard, in my bee jacket, I've got the marking pen of the year. And based off of some advice from a few people, I think Bob actually visited a guy down in Florida that used this Competitive Advantage MDP 15 paint marker. I took that advice this year to try it, and I've been pretty happy with it. You know, a paint marker is a paint marker, but some of them don't dry out as quick. And this one has been very successful. But in preparing, I like to not worry about the paint being available when I get the queen in my hand. So I go ahead and make sure the paint is flowing. And now this is the tricky part. So I'm not indoors. If you had the opportunity of doing this indoors, that is a better opportunity. If you've got her cage, just walk inside, walk in your shed, walk in your barn, and do it in there. Out here in the field, I don't. So, whoop, and there she goes. I don't. So, whoa, and there she goes. Did you see how I cracked that just a bit? I was talking to you and I cracked it a bit and she walked out. So, I am right-handed. So I grab the queen and this is how I do it. You grab her legs. She's got 6 of them. If you can grab at least 3 on one side, you've got her. And her front legs are open, so she can kind of twist. But if you grab 3 legs, she really can't go anywhere. You know, don't break them. You just kind of pinching them. And you can see I've got her nice and tight, and she can't really twist around. If she starts twisting because you don't have all of her legs, then you need to adjust your grip before you try to mark. Because if you mark her, you know, and you get a wing or you get an antenna, things can kind of go wrong. So 2 choices here. If I was going to keep working here, I'd put her back in the cage. But because I'm not, I'm going to bury her in there, meaning like there's no way she's going to walk out. I have had virgins or young queens fly away after I've marked them, and now I'm basically hoping she is oriented and knows where this hive is to fly back in the entrance. Because she made it here, more than likely she would find this entrance. But if you had just caught a swarm and you marked the queen from the swarm and tried to put her in this hive, if she flew away, more than likely she doesn't know where this entrance is. So the thought is she might fly to where that swarm went, but she might not. And that's a good way to lose a queen. And here I preach and preach and preach. And I almost, on video, lost a queen. Okay, so now taking notes here. I'm on the 16th, so I add another line here. And I print these sheets on my printer, and I laminate them, and then they're waterproof. So that's how I do it. 9/16, and I'm going to put R and a circle, and I'm going to say marked. Now, I can also look back in time to see when that queen was probably mated, now that I know she's laying eggs. If you look up here, I had, way back on September 5th, I have grafted. That means I put new eggs in there that day. I didn't do grafting, but that just means I had new eggs. And she should have been laying I'm sorry, that's 8/5. She should have been laying on or about 8/26. I don't think that is that queen. So I re-added eggs on the 19th of August. I have a line here, add eggs. If I put 19 August up top here, and I add 5 days to that, it's 24, 4 more days to the nuke is 28, plus 3 days is August 31st. She should have been mating on or about the 5th. She should have been laying on or about the 9th. Guess what, guys? That queen, today's the 16th, there's evidence of eggs. She is definitely mating. So that queen came from this day here on the 19th of August. I added eggs. So that's how I love this system, is I can go back. I've got my little queen math here, so I don't have to do that math in my head. It's a great system for me. But now I know that that first time I added eggs, it didn't take. It took that second round of eggs for them to make a cell that turned into that beautiful yellow queen with probably some strong Italian genetics. Okay, this is fun. That was the second hive, and this is usually my strongest hive. It's a little bit bigger, it's got more space. I have not done anything but remove frames from this hive, only because it continues to be strong, strong, strong. And when you're raising weak hives, having frames to remove from is very, very nice. Last note I have on here was September 1st, I saw the queen and I removed 2 frames on the 1st. So 2 weeks ago, I removed 2 frames. So you see, initially, nice population probably up here on the lid. Really, I'm not gonna mess with these guys other than to show you guys a little bit of what I do here. I've already gone through 3 hives here in this long line. But if I see eggs, everything is good. And maybe I'll find one of the frames I added and you can see how quickly they can draw out. And see the sun at my back? That's the other thing. I'm kind of doing this for video too. The sun might actually be in your eyes. I might need to, ooh, just landed on my eyebrow. Didn't sting me yet. Yeah, this frame is getting ready to hatch out. I kind of want to, I might need to move you guys just so you're not in the sun. We'll do it this way. If you notice this capped brood, if you can see in the sun, do you see how it's dark right here? This darker section is because there are tiny little worker bee heads right underneath there getting ready to you know, come out. If I look here, I'm probably going to find 1 or 2 starting to chew their way out, but that is what that dark is. So if I were to take a frame to give to a weaker hive, I would want one that had brood that was getting ready to emerge. And very quickly, here's some open cells, and with my eyesight, I'm doing it again where I'm looking carefully, kind of shimmering. Not sure if I see it. Now, one nice thing about this long lang is I got this built-in rack over here on the sides. I can show you a little bit what it looks like. See how I add these nails? I just put them there so I can essentially hang a frame without being in the way. Now, I know you're over my shoulder. That's the problem with this angle. See, they need to draw this one out a little bit more. Okay, lots of eggs and larvae here, so I'm done really looking. Maybe check the queen here. Now, I don't know with this sun angle if you're going to be able to see the eggs and larvae, but that never really works good on camera. If I do see the queen, I would like to do a mite check on this one. Lots of eggs and larvae in this one, so she is laying. I may just go a couple more frames to do a mite check. So, if you watched my video yesterday, I put in a frame that was my own homemade foundation. If you look here, this is the same thing, but now they've drawn it out. Can you tell that wax foundation is homemade? Can you just sort of tell here? This is that foundation I make in my silicone mold with just some extra wax. It's not a very productive way of making a lot of foundation. Can you see how it's a little bit wonky here? But it's foundationless because meaning like no plastic foundation. They've drawn it out. So this was one of the ones I added, and they've drawn it out nicely. They love their own wax, and they've already laid eggs in it. So this is a good example of that. So maybe I'll even show a clip from yesterday of what that fresh stuff looks like in case you didn't see that video. And I'm going to put in one of these frames. So this is not drawn, but this is my own created foundation out of my own beeswax. I have a silicone mold I purchased, and I can go ahead and heat up that wax and melt it. You see, it's a little bit wonky, but it's got cells on it, but it's their wax. I can kind of, you know, they make a spur and better to embed these a little bit better than this. They will do just fine on this, but I am going to kind of take this end so it doesn't curl so much and push it in around those wire frames a little bit. You can see how that looks there. Can kind of squeeze these wires in a little bit more. A spur and better is made for doing this. This is my own hack job, and it truly is a little bit of a hack job at times, especially live on video. Okay, so that's the frame they're going to get. Ah, there she is. Her mark is even wearing off a little bit. You can see her probably right in the middle of that frame. She's walking around. I'm right-handed, so my cage is in the right side of my jacket. She's in there. Put her out of the way. And I'm gonna just look on this frame. It's got lots of nurse bees, so this one would be a good one for a mite check. So with the queen protected, I really can be a little bit rougher. This is that other type of system I use for mite checks. The other one's a Ceracell. This one is called Easy Check, I believe. The reason I like this one, I've told you before, is because you can pour it out into this cup. This cup holds the volume of alcohol you need. Now, without a bucket, this is just kind of a trick on how to get your 2 cups of bees. If you scrape down like this, they go into the bucket. Now, I may get stung here because I didn't smoke them before I'm doing this. We'll see. That's enough, probably. Ooh, no stings yet, but I'm going to give them a few puffs of smoke. That was probably not smart. I probably should have puffed them just a bit. For those of you that don't like to wear your hoods or whatever, you know, I'm better without a hood, but we all are, aren't we? So just a quick mite check. And as I do this, just to double check on my extended release, I can see I have 3 strips in here, but they're starting to look a little bit old. That one's looking a little old. This one's definitely gone. See how this is just remnants on here? So we'll go ahead and do this for a few seconds and we'll check this together on the mites. All right, so let's see how we look here. Let's look together. 0 mites. That's great. Yesterday I had 0 mites too. I always expect 1 or 2, but I got 0 again. Running it through a sieve is just another technique in case you get any bee legs or anything like that in there. It's also another opportunity to look for mites. No mites in your bucket. A little bit of that might be 1 mite. Well, I don't know. Okay, 0 to 1, I don't think it was, but it was close. You see how I poured that in there? Now I can just pour this back. That's one advantage of the style, and that's what I meant when I said that you pour it into the lid. Okay, great news. So now that I've taken that, I can also say 0 mites and laying on this hive. You always like to take the worker bees that have been working the capped larva for mite checks if you have a choice, and that's what I did there. The queen was on that one, and obviously she was laying. Squeezing this back together. Let me just see this one here on the end. Show you guys what it looks like if they're drawing it out. See how they're starting to draw this side out, and they're definitely drawing that side out. That's what they can do with sugar water, even during a dearth. All right. And this will go back here. Squeeze up my frames. All right, and I am gonna put Mama back in. She's in there, and I love to see her go in. Make sure that she doesn't fly. I don't have this one clipped either. I clip my queen sometimes. Honestly, I don't have scissors in my jacket when I'm in the outfield, and there she goes. Her butt's going down. Give a puff, she'll run even further. Now, while I've got this open and the fact that these are not production hives, meaning I'm not taking honey from them this fall, I like to keep them sugared up so they can continue to, ow, there's the first sting. Yeah, she got me right on the temple. Let me put my smoker over here. All right, ladies, I'm giving you sugar. You ought to be happy about that. Yeah, getting stung on the temple is like sending venom straight to your brain. But I'm being a little rough with them. They know it. Not too much. I'm not going to feed them like they got to get through the winter. This is purely stimulation. All right, queen's in there. A little bit of maintenance here on some of the propolis. Dead bees. And we'll close them back up. Give them the chance to run in. Now with this long lang, you may wonder, well, what if there's bees that get stuck in here? I have bee escapes up here that they can get out if they get stuck. Now, I did not add sugar to these other two hives, and I am going to do that because they are younger than even that last one. And you know, once you've already done your inspection, you can do something like this and keep it nice and tight so they don't even get disturbed really. Just filling in these in-hive feeders. These in-hive feeders work great for this type of long lang. You know, they take up a little bit of width, but that's pretty much all you have in a long lang is width. This is a 3-gallon flower thing. I made this little rubber spout to give me the angle I needed to bend in here. And you may say, well, what is this screen on the tip for? Honestly, that screen is to keep bees from going in and to keep bees from going out. And I made this little flap on here. Obviously in a dearth, they will find sugar water. So that's my method of keeping the bees out of my jug. Little homemade invention. All right, put my mic check away. I brought out this patty, and since I didn't put any in any other hives, I'm going to probably give these two smaller ones, maybe even just the middle one with the new queen, a little bit of pollen, since they don't have as many bees. This is not required this time of year, but I use it to strengthen weak hives. I just score it. Got to keep an eye on this for beetles. If they don't eat it in about a day and a half, 2 days to 3 days, you got to get back in here and pull it out. Just some advice on hive patties. There's some risk to beetles. All right, that is the long lang. We have a little bit of interesting stuff to do on the other two, and I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, I've repositioned the camera for you. This one, the last notes I have, I don't have a queen in this one. On the 8th, I added eggs, and I have added eggs twice before that. So I'm hoping they're making a queen. They don't look too bad, but I don't know. I mean, obviously, on the 8th, if they made it on the 8th, she's still going to be a virgin. So I'm either going to find queen cells, or I'm going to find evidence from an egg I did not see last time. And this was a hive that I split out due to strength. Lots of stores. Basically, they're putting all that sugar water I've given them in here. So here right next to this hive, see how I can use this frame rest right there rather than setting it on the ground. No cells yet. If there was a queen, she would be laying in one of those cells, I think, because they are nice, wide, and open. And honestly, this could be an indication of them clearing out cells for her to lay into. See what we see on this next one. Hey, if you guys enjoy this kind of content, like and subscribe if you don't. Okay, so here's evidence of no queen. So lots of capped brood. This was the frame I put in last week with the eggs. And this is what they've done. There's a queen cell here. And there's a queen cell here. There's a queen cell here. And a queen cell here. So I've got 4 queen cells on the frame I put in last week with eggs. So honestly, I don't know why I said honestly, we're being honest with each other. So to tell you the truth, well, there's another euphemism. I know exactly when those queens are gonna hatch now, and I'm gonna mark it on my notes. And I'm just double checking that those weren't emergency cells they made even though they had a virgin. So there are no queens in here, no eggs I should say. I'm gonna go ahead and close this back up because they have cells. The cells are in the middle one and I put them right back where they were, order-wise and orientation-wise. They've got a lot of capped brood from that egg frame, so there's gonna be a fine population in here. Now this one may need more supplementation of bees while that queen continues to hopefully hatch and mate. So I can take a frame out of one of these larger hives and put it in here next week, and they're gonna continue to have workers. So sugar is important if you got a weak hive that doesn't have a forager force to continue and gather resources where they're available. I gotta preserve my sugar for the other hive we're gonna go see here in a little bit. And now I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna write on here. So I've got notes on here, but most of the notes are now irrelevant because none of it worked before. Now I do have add eggs on the 8th, and now I know that made those queen cells. So in my graft day, on my low queen math, I'm gonna put grafted on the 8th. She should they should have been capped on the 12th, and that makes sense because we saw capped cells. I've got a move to nuke date on here, which could be the 16th. So honestly, if I were moving these to another hive, the 16th is a good day to transport. They should hatch on the 19th. She'll be mating on the 24th. And she should be laying on the 28th. So now I have numbers to work with. And I'm gonna erase all this other. And what I used to erase this, this is magic eraser. It's just kind of handy, they're disposable. And I'll put up on here, add eggs on the 8th. And on the 16th, I'm just gonna, okay guys, the GoPro overheated, so I had to put my window shade on the GoPro. I forgot to put my beetle trap back in there. So basically I've got all my queen math on there, and I've got everything that I think I need for this hive to successfully hatch. There, of course, is the mystery of will she mate? But she's gonna be mating late in the year, but I've got plenty of resources to add this hive back to another one if that does not work. Okay, let me take you up to my other nuke. Okay, I've got a new GoPro and it is overheating, but I'm also playing with how high resolution I can shoot without it overheating. This is at 5K full frame. Okay, on this hive, I used one of these Dixie towels to see if I can get some beetles with that thing. I don't normally use those, I use the traps, but let's see how this looks at initial peek. See how it kind of stuck there? I like to look for the queen underneath. On the 8th, it said it was strong. I don't have a single beetle in there, maybe one right there. I don't have a whole lot of beetle problems if I'm concentrating on trapping them. That is for sure. Okay, I have a marked queen that was young on the 8th. So I think that was the first time I had seen her. So this is just a progress check, really. Do I still see eggs? Otherwise, I can leave these ladies alone. They're doing good. Now, the reason I'm even checking them is because if they're getting too big, I might need to stack another box on top of it or put them in a wide. Lots of pearly larvae in here. Let me just look for eggs. Make sure she's not on here. I don't have a frame stand on this stand over here, so if she could be on any of these frames. But this looks really, really good. Lots of eggs. Being a little bit rough with them, so I'm smoking them a little bit more than usual. Capped. Looking good. There she is. Right there, if you can see her. A little bit darker. Not quite as big as that last yellow one. So we've got a healthy queen that is laying up here with good local genetics, and I'm gonna let them be. Now this little hive, I'm gonna probably need to continue to give more room. Unlike the long lang, you can't expand horizontally in this thing, so I need to make sure they have room. I'm gonna keep this on here just for an experiment. I don't have many beetle problems, but I'm gonna experiment with it. Need to take notes first. And this one I'm gonna say 16th. You guys probably heard that. These bees love this dead cat. 16th strong. That's all I'm gonna put on here, because I know she's in there. Oh, and I need to put an R and a circle, because I saw her. Now I'm gonna flip this around so that my sugar water doesn't go through my Dixie towel. Hear that, dead cat? They love it. It's black, that's why. I really don't need a dead cat on non-windy days, but I just leave all my equipment ready to go. I'm gonna give them the rest of this sugar water because I'm done in this yard. And that's all she wrote, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed it, this is the first one of these I'm doing where I'm just doing a walk around. I'm gonna probably just call these my vlog, day in the life, whatever you wanna call it. Watch me go through my hives. We can talk about what I see, and if you see anything, please leave it in comments below. I love to exchange information. Hopefully enjoy it. If not, we'll see you next time. Have a great day.